the question is, ultimately, you are asking, since they have everything, why should they do anything? But this is not everything, point one. What definition you have given to your children of everything? If you tell them, beta, you should do this and you should do that, that is not enough. They will not listen to you. They will do what you do. They will believe what you believe in. We ask our children, why don't you people read? You should read books. I mean, in a household where the books are bought by the interior decorator to match the color of the curtain, you want the children to read. How will they do it? When these children listen to some inane rap and you get upset, you have to remember, did they ever hear that our parents have gone for a concert? Leave aside you took them or not. Did they know there are some classical music concerts in the world in their childhood? When we expose them without preaching, when they see things, when we show certain values, when we talk to the staff or the domestic health in a particular manner, they know that people have to be respected even if they are on a lower rung of economic or social status. Do we give them good example? If we do, then they are all right. And if we don't and expect without sowing the seed, we want to have the harvest, I suppose that's not possible.
I guess that's why we have Zoya and Farah, who are pretty grounded and they're achievers in their own field. So I was always, I wanted to hear this from both of you, that they've seen successful parents, they've seen that, and yet they've aspired to achieve, to do something on their own, and they've done it very successfully, creating a niche for themselves. So obviously the fire in the belly continues, irrespective of whether the parents are very successful or not. It's something probably also instilled in them in some way or the other, probably by being role models.
I come from a background where praising your own children is not done. But since you have put me in a position where I have to say something, I mean, I'm happy that they are doing well, but what makes me equally happy that they are doing well with certain holes barred. They were not as desperate to become successful that they would make any kind of film and have any kind of song or any kind of scene in this film. They maintained a certain level of decency, and they are known for that, and perhaps that's why they have certain respect in the industry and in the society for their work, because that's what they maintain. And what I see about them, which makes me very happy, that even today when they are going for outing or they have a long Sunday weekend, their friends are still the same what they were 10 years back or 15 years back. Their college friends, their school friends, their friend circle has not changed. Otherwise, I mean, your guest list and your friend list keeps on changing according to the success or the failure of your own or others. So I suppose that's a good sign, and I wish them well.
No, but I would like to add, and I'd like to share this for some parents who must be despairing at the fact that their children seem to not know what they're going to do. And I look pointedly at a lady on my left, Renuka. Anyway, the point is that at one stage, Farhan dropped out of college. He was doing commerce and he was in HR college. And he just dropped out and said, it doesn't interest me in the least bit and I'm not going to do it. And then he sat at home for a whole year. For a whole year, he only sat in front of the TV and he watched films morning, noon and night. Till we all despaired and kicked him out of the house and said, you have to get up and do something. You can't sit pretty watching movies all the time. And he went and joined Zoya, who was working in an ad agency. And suddenly he found what he wanted to do. And within 3 months, he was completely disciplined and fine. In about a year's time, I met his boss. And he knew how desperate we were when Farhan wasn't doing anything. And he said that was the time when he was learning. He was watching cinema, he was absorbing cinema, he was drinking cinema by a process of osmosis. And today I can tell you that he will be a writer, director, actor, and producer. And he'll do all of that well. At that moment, we thought that he was just saying it to make us happy. But the fact is that he needed that space by himself to decide this is what he wanted to do. In our age, we had to determine in class 7 whether we wanted to do science or arts, and that was it. And then you had no career choice. Today, children have so many different options, and that's why sometimes you feel very confused. कि ये कुछ करेगा नहीं करेगा. So I think parents also need to let children really follow their own dreams. It's a very, very tough thing to do, but I think we need to do that if we want to support our kids. I remember when I told my father that I want to pursue acting, and would you support me? And he said, I would support you in any choice that you made. If you decided that you want to be a cobbler, then I would support you in that, provided you tell yourself that I will strive to be the best cobbler in the business. And I think that's the kind of support we need to give our kids.
That's really well said, Shabana, because many parents, as a doctor, when they come and talk to me, they are worried, that our child has everything and he's totally confused as in what does he want to do. And I think the biggest takeaway is, as parents, we have to just give them time, we must give them space, and we shouldn't expect too much from them. And probably they also feel that they should live up to their parents' expectations. So kind of somewhere along the line, they get a little confused that will this be good for, in my father or mother's eyes? Should I be even thinking on this line? So probably as parents, we should just step back and give them that space and dignity to say, okay, even if you want to do anything, do it. You have our approval. And I think that's where parents hold back.
I think where we tend to go wrong as parents is that we give them a very short shopping list. You can buy one of these things, but the shopping list is very small. You become a doctor, you become an engineer, an architect, and so join the family business, whatever, but the list is small. We have decided that A, B, C, D, E, F, any tick mark kar do is pe koi pe bhi, but this is the list, don't go out of it. You can only be somebody, I am using this word somebody for the want of better expression, if you are good at your work. You can only be good at your work if you are really interested in it. As Shabana said, her father said that you become a cobbler, but excel as a cobbler. How do you excel? Only if you are really interested in doing it. Now I wonder how many parents, well-off parents who are well-heeled, and the son or the daughter comes and says, I want to become a singer. And they won't be horrified or shocked. Let the child do what the child really wants to do, because that is the only thing that will give the child happiness, and that is the only way the child can excel and make you proud. You think that these are the securities. Security is for mediocres. Security is not for the exceptional. If you want your child to be exceptional, don't talk of security. Let the child do what the child wants to do. At the most, the child will fail. So what? You are there. You will hold the hand. But as Gibran has said, the children are like arrows and parents are like bows. The bows have to let the arrow go. Otherwise, it will not reach the goal. It will not reach the target. Now the bow starts moving with the arrow. Where is the target? No, this is not the target. This is the target. Because I am telling you, we can't do this. You see, I'm very thankful to my father. My father was a very well-known poet. So one day I decided that since I am autograph hunter, I should take my father's autograph, not because of my father, but because he's a big poet. So he wrote a Persian line of a couplet of a very famous Persian poet, and obviously I don't know Persian, so he translated it for me. Sadi was a great poet, and what a wonderful man he was. He was really a philosopher, and he came to India, lived in Gujarat for 8 years, learned Vedant from Iran, and then he went back. So he wrote a line, Har kas ke shut sahab nazar deene buzurga khush na kard. Which means, I asked him what is the meaning of it. So he told me the meaning is that every person who has been a man of sight has never pleased the beliefs of his elders. Can you imagine that whatever, just look back, whatever has happened, whatever has been achieved, whatever has been discovered or invented is by somebody who broke the rules, who refused to be regimented. I mean, given half a chance, I think Thomas Edison's parents would have put him in some office. And there would not have been a gramophone today. But this madness, this very desire to make a gramophone was not a normal person's desire. I mean, now it is made. So we think that, imagine a man is working, trying to capture sound. Ostensibly, it was a mad idea. But that made him Thomas Edison. When people pursue their dreams, and as long as they are dreams, they are impossible. They look implausible. But only those people who achieve their dreams are happy people, and they are the only people who make their parents proud. Right?
Actually, this takes me to my next question, very similar to what we just addressed. It's a dream situation when anybody can pursue their passion as their career, the way you have done it, Javed Saab as a poet and a writer, and Shabana as an actor. But for most people, the monetary inflow may or may not happen during the expected time frame, because of which people quit or become pretty demotivated. So how long should they wait? I mean, should they have a time span, or should they just keep waiting till, that if they're doing it for the monetary inflow? Okay, it's like, suppose someone wants to be a painter, and that's his passion, and he wants to make a career out of painting, but none of his paintings are selling. So, he's not able to make his ends meet. So, keeping that as an example, so it's a dream situation when anybody can pursue their passion as a career, but for many people, the monetary inflow may or may not happen during the expected time frame, because of which people generally quit. They say, why should we continue being the painter? Money is not coming, this is my passion. So how long should they wait, or should they keep waiting?
Well, monetary inflow is not in anybody's control to that extent. You can ask these people, they would know better than me. It takes time sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't happen. So this risk is everywhere. Everywhere. But ultimately, where will it come and how it will come? It will come by your contribution. It will come by, I believe this world doesn't give anything for free. When I'm sitting in my car and it stops at a crossroad and a beggar comes and there is some change at the dashboard and I pick up a coin of 1 rupee and give this beggar, do you think I have given it for free? No. I have bought a feeling I'm a good person. I'm a compassionate person. You see, this poor man had come, I gave 1 rupee to this person. So, the world that doesn't give 1 rupee to a beggar without getting something will give you respect, wealth, honor, fame for nothing. Of course, they will take their share. You have to keep on giving, and one day it will happen. Again, I'll quote Gibran. Gibran said that you can find treasure anywhere on this earth. But there's only one guarantee, that you keep digging with this conviction that you will get the treasure here. When we pursue, it takes time. The difference between a supersonic plane and an ordinary helicopter is that the helicopter leaves ground right then and there. This is immediate gratification. But the supersonic takes a long run and then takes off. So don't get scared of that long run at the tarmac. Ultimately, this plane, which is taking this long run, will go far higher. So something, when the stakes are higher, it takes a little time.
Thank you, Javed Saab. That was very well said, and I think a lot of people have found their answers. Shabana, what's your take on live-in relationships in today's scenario? In fact, even today's cinema portrays a lot of real-life stories. Why do you think people are so indecisive in today's time to commit to a marriage and they prefer a live-in relationship before getting committed?
No, I wouldn't say that as a blanket statement. We are seeing many more live-in relationships, and I think it's perfectly healthy. There is no longer that completely unnatural pressure of virginity which rested solely on the shoulders of the woman and was never of consideration for the man at all. All those values are going. But I think that the whole concept of marriage and what it means in terms of partnership is in flux, because the clearly defined roles of the past are no longer valid. And so young people particularly, because they don't have the social pressure that you cannot live together without marriage. Of course, it exists, but in a lot of situations it doesn't exist. They want to experiment, they want to keep their options open. And earlier, men were sworn bachelors. Today, women who are earning and women who are doing well for themselves and women who are standing on their feet want to be sworn bachelors themselves. They are no longer, I think the only reason people get married today, I'm talking of a certain section of society, is when they finally decide that, all right, we want to have children. And I don't think that there is any problem in that, as long as it is a consensual relationship between the two of them. I have no problems with it.
So why don't they just get married?
Why don't they?
Just get married.
I always say that living together must be as torturous as being married. So you might as well get married and be done with it. What's the difference? I don't know.
Fair enough. So again, compatibility, because
those women who are clapping more than men at that marriage being a torturous thing, I seem to sense that in this audience. I really want, the one thing that I want in life is a wife. How many women want a wife? Please put their hands up. Dekho, we all want a wife in our lives. Phir sab kuch bilkul smooth ho jayega.
Okay. So, in today's world, where probably marriages are not working out for many reasons, people generally say that, okay, the husband maybe is not contributing, or, it's a nuclear family and a wife's supposed to do this and supposed to do that, and, the husband's not really contributing enough, and probably this could be a reason. But then we also see in the West where both the husband and wife are really working, they're contributing equally, but then there are equal or much more divorces than what we're seeing in India. So, compatibility is, I think, the basic foundation of any relationship, be it at work, be it at home. So what would be your definition of compatibility? It could be between a mother and a daughter, or a husband-wife, or two sisters, or just in your workplace. So what would define compatibility?
I don't think compatibility is a constant. And when we look for a constant incompatibility, that's when we have problems. Because ultimately, you're two different people. You have shared many things together, but even between siblings, you have the same kind of background, and yet you can turn out to be completely different people. So compatibility in a worldview, compatibility in aesthetics, compatibility in what you consider decent. If you have compatibility in these areas, then I think the everyday small incompatibilities can be won over. But it cannot happen. If you don't share a common worldview, if you don't share a common aesthetic, then I think it's going to be a problem. As long as we understand compatibility is not a constant, and compatibility, you also need to make an effort towards it. You see, we are willing to make an effort towards our working relationships. We are willing to make an effort towards our friends. We are willing to make an effort towards strangers, but we are not willing to make any effort towards our spouse or towards our parents. We just think that taking them for granted is the correct thing to do, and I don't agree with that, because they are human beings and they need and they have certain desires and certain wants which might be separate from yours. And if you can put yourself out for other people, why can't you do it for the people you love most? So compatibility is something that you need to work at. It is achievable and it's not a constant. Javed sir.
Yeah, actually, it's not that you're born or born not. You have got to work to be compatible. Do you agree, Javed sir?
I believe that two people should never live together. People who are totally different and people who are totally similar. Because if they are totally similar, one is enough. Why do you need two of them? So as a matter of fact, you have to be complementary. Filling spaces. If I'm weak in this aspect, my partner should be able to handle that. And if a partner is vulnerable in certain fields, so I should be there as the power, as the help. So that is how you become a good team, a compatible team. Compatibility is not similarity. If you look at a machine, there are parts of machinery which are compatible. They are working together. And they are working together because they are of different shape. But they are filling each other's proper space. And they are doing different things. Two parts of a machinery are not doing the same thing to each other. So that is how you create a team. Compatibility, like in hockey or football, I mean, you have different positions. And how they give passes to each other to reach the ball to the goal. That is how, I suppose, successful relationships are also like that. To achieve happiness, to achieve contentment, to achieve maybe success of some kind, any kind, whatever your definition of success may be. If this teamwork is right, then it's wonderful. And this teamwork can only be right if there is certain similarity and certain difference. If you are totally different, you can't work together. You can't live together. If you are totally similar, then it's not worth living together.
Shabana, how does compatibility fit into working, professional relationship? Suppose a person is not liking his work, or he feels he's just not compatible enough to do his job, but then he is dependent on the job. Do you feel he's got to work doubly hard to make sure he's compatible? Or do you think he should say, no, I just don't think I can handle this, I'm just going to walk out? So what do you think is a thin line of balance out here?
You know, there have been partners who are very, very valued by their partners or their spouses because they helped them in their moments of crisis. I can tell you about Shankar Mahadevan, who's such a brilliant singer. And he was going away to America to become an engineer. And when he was on the verge of going, he turned round to his wife and he said, this is really something I do not want to do at all. What I want to do is music. And he was going to get a really good job there. And she said, just give it up and do what you want to do. And he could pursue it. I know of, there was a very brilliant filmmaker called Manish Acharya, whose wife is a painter. He unfortunately died. And he was in a startup company in New York and doing very well. And then he got an offer where he was going to get a lot of money. And he said, if I take this job up, I will not be able to give it up for my passion. I want to do film. And she said, I'm a painter, I'll earn, you go to film school, I'll see you through that film school. Now, that's very tough for a partner to do. See, you can follow your own dream, but when there is a partner and you owe something to that partner, then that decision can only be made easier if your partner supports you because they recognize that this is your true passion. And I think that we should do, whether it's for your child or whether it's for your friend or whether it's for your husband.
Very well said. Well, in a field of cinema, size 0, 6 packs, being fair appears to be the ideal body type. That's what we read. However, there are some people who have broken these stereotypes and risen through sheer talent. There are a lot of people out there who are uncomfortable in their body type, and that undermines their self-confidence to perform and reach great heights. So what would be your message to people who are just not comfortable in their body, you know? They're just not comfortable.
May I ask something? I'm slightly confused. I may be wrong. But are you suggesting that people with size 0 don't have talent?
I knew I was getting into trouble. I was looking at Shabana when I was addressing this question. No, I didn't mean that. But I just thought that an industry of cinema where size 0 was probably the moment a person came, that person looked more attractive than another person who had to prove herself through sheer talent.
No, but I tell you, see, it's always an advantage. If you have a great body and if you have a great face, it's always an advantage if you're going to be somebody who's facing the camera. But this kind of complete unnatural pressure only on your body and only on your face, not only for people who are in cinema, but for anybody who steps out on the social scene, I find that pressure abominable because you are made to feel by a manufactured idea of what is acceptable and what is beautiful, and you succumb to it and you starve yourself to death, and after that you fall ill because it is a predetermined prototype. Why must you fall into that? It's also happening because look at the media pressure. I mean, why is it that at every single event when you go, you are scrutinized from head to toe, and if you have by chance worn the same clothes twice, then it seems all hell has broken loose. And I say, but how can I have a favorite dress if I don't repeat it? What is the sense? I mean, why can't I repeat it? Because I like it. Why, for instance, at the Cannes Film Festival, which is a really serious festival of films, instead of talking about the world-class cinema that is there, we are only discussing what is being worn on the red carpet. Why is it that all of us have decided one fine day that you have to stand with your hand on your hip and pose in this particular way, and only then you can look attractive? Why are we succumbing to that pressure? Now, there's the pressure from the selfie world. Please, by the way, this selfie is something that really gets on my nerves. And today I was reading that pediatricians have said it causes head lice because everybody gets together. So that's one more reason not to take selfies. But this notion of manufactured acceptability, I find very, very troubling. I think that one should have the confidence to be comfortable in your own skin. And if you're not comfortable in your own skin and you want to be slimmer or taller or shorter or fatter or whatever it is, then you work towards it. That's fine, but it cannot become at the absence of all else.